Tide Talk with Webb is back. What's going on, guys? I am not making videos like I need to, but I've had a lot going on. Just talking a little bit about the battle at QB that's going on down at Tuscaloosa. You know, I've seen a lot of people kind of throwing shade a little bit at Ty Simpson. He's been there 3 years and he wasn't able to take over the job. And I don't think it's that he wasn't able to take over the job. I just think that at the time, Tommy Rees was a very good offensive coordinator, and he was developing Jalen Milroe to the point that it was undeniable he was the more dynamic athlete. He could go out there and do so many things. He was really improving with his arm. He was legendary with his feet. So that was kind of one of those deals. And let's be honest, when you look at Milroe's history in high school at Texas, and then you look at Ty Simpson's in Texas, Ty Simpson was playing AAA ball compared to, Milroe, who was playing, big ball. He was playing 5As and 6As versus like Simpson, who was playing like 2 and 3s and 1A high schools out there. So it's a big learning curve. Now that we have, but we upgraded offensive coordinator. That's with Ryan Grubb. So that's a big one. But from what we're seeing, it's kind of Ty Simpson's to lose at this point. The last scrimmage, he threw 3 to potentially 4 touchdowns with 1 INT. Another interesting development is that Isaiah Horton is really coming on strong. Some people and some articles I've read are saying that he's probably going to be one of the top 2 guys. He's really shining. Last year all we had was pretty much Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams. And I think the addition of Isaiah Horton, he was a big get. He was a big time player. A lot of schools wanted him. He's a big body guy. He's pretty darn fast, but he's almost 6'6". Got hands. He can catch everything. I think he's really going to push that wide receiver room. Bernard's already there, but I think Ryan Williams, being a sophomore, coming into his own, knowing the system better, having a more aggressive offensive coordinator, and hopefully having more consistency in the passing game is going to be a huge deal for them. But I think having Isaiah Horton is really going to push that offensive the wide receiver room. But also with that, don't be counting out guys like Rico Scott. Rico Scott kind of gets lost in the mix, and he's very underrated. I want to go back to a point I said in a previous video where I think that the offensive line, has not really been that great since 2020, if you want to get down to it. We've had coaches like Cristobal, and we've had, there's like 3 other coaches we had in that time period and back from 2020. A lot of those guys are either D1 college coaches or they're coaching big time in the NFL. One of our past coaches, he's one of the top offensive line coaches in the NFL. We had that in college. That was a huge difference. I don't think a lot of us realize. And a lot of our success is going to come down to that offensive line. Are they progressing? Are they getting better? Are they filling the gaps? Are they making the blocks? Can we run the ball? That's another big problem that we're going to have to be able to not only pass, but we're also going to have to pass protect. And we're also going to have to be able to run the ball to keep them honest, because you have to be 2-dimensional in college football. I don't care who you are. You still can play ground and pound like Georgia, but you also have to be able to throw, because Georgia could throw last year as well, too. So could Ohio State. That's a big point. And for me, I think that's a bigger point than even who's quarterback. I think you could either put Austin Mack in there. I think you could put Ty Simpson. I think they're interchangeable at this point. Until one guy takes the lead, until one guy takes the reins, they're very interchangeable. So my point of contention is that offensive line. Where are we at on the offensive line? Where, are we blocking consistently? There were some times last year it was bad. Frankly, it was really bad. And even Milroe is the big of a magician as he is. He couldn't even. As soon as he snapped the ball, he was running for his life. We know that Austin Mack and that Ty Simpson, they don't have 4.4 and 4.3 legs. They can't do that. So you better be able to hold a block. Not only that, some of the other problems we had last year with not catching the ball and a lot of drop passes, that's going to have to end too. When you get that ball in the chest, you better bring it down. Big time college football, you have to. Now, from what we're seeing in DeBoer, what we're seeing of these practices, because it's not really an A-day game, it's more of a practice. The guys are, and this came in from DeBoer, They're throwing they're generally completing about 60 to 65% of their passes. That number's gonna have to get up. Now, with that being said, that's a good sign. All the guys kind of bring something different. Keelan Russell is a 5-star guy. I don't expect him to play or really challenge for the spot unless somebody gets hurt, because you don't want to put, excuse me, a true freshman in there. You don't want to damage his mental attitude and where he's at, and that psyche. You just don't want to damage that. Now, what we know from DeBoer, they're all getting their opportunities. They're all getting the ones and twos. The guys are getting more comfortable, as we're seeing in these scrimmages. We're not getting a lot of information out of it, but we're seeing that Ty Simpson is kind of starting to pull ahead a little bit. Now, it's still early. There's still a lot of room to move. Another interesting thing we saw from DeBoer was that the other group, he thought that the wide receivers made one of the biggest jumps from last year. The biggest improvements he thought was very, very interesting. We have a same group of guys from last year, but we have more depth, and we did bring some guys from the portal, which brings a lot more depth. The guy like Isaiah Horton, he's pushing Ryan Williams. He's sitting there pushing Jeremy Bernard. He's sitting there teaching and pushing Rico Scott. And, like I said, he's in there and he's making those guys better. Not only that, he's also teaching those guys that we're also kind of turning heads at, like Latzir Brooks. So that's one area of contention he said that was very interesting. He also made some allusions to that the fact that he thought this defensive back group was very interesting and making big strides. Dijon Lee is one of those guys that come in there. He's 6'4", big dude. I'm kind of worried about him. He's making some waves and doing some things, even though there's no, open scrimmages, there's no open practices, there's not going to be televised actual A-Day. But from the waves he's making, you hope a guy like that doesn't just jump in the portal and somebody like Ohio State come and just get him. So you're kind of holding your breath on guys like that, but they're looking pretty tight and svelte themselves. And I don't really think at this point, I still think it right now I feel like it's Ty Simpson's game to lose at this point. If we see Austin Mack just start making all the throws and making all the right decisions, and he's throwing 85 to 90% of his passes and completions, that's something else to look at. Now, we don't have a lot of backups in that quarterback room, but I think we have good quality depth. I feel really good about that. And as we go forward, we're going to be seeing little things here and there, and it's kind of hard to get more of a feeling because we're not getting to see a lot of the practices, which is good because you don't, in this portal era, you don't want to have everybody seeing your practices, and somebody like Michigan that's got, the guy from Oracle just doling out money to everybody. But yeah, I want 3 of their defensive backs and I want a wide receiver, and yeah, let's go ahead and get one of the quarterbacks. You definitely don't want that, especially at this point in the season as you're going into the summer, the summer workouts and into the spring workouts and all that. But it's going to be very interesting. I do feel like the coaching staff is very close-lipped on the stuff, but it's going to be an exciting battle to watch, and hopefully I can give you more videos. Anyway, Tide Talk Web is out.